realize we are live video conference on H.949 the Guild Bill. And before we start, just needed to clarify something. Senator Hardy arrived yesterday, very upset because she thought that we had cut the renter's credit to 12 and 10%. Okay.
No one touched reference credits.
That's what we all.
And John's
thought,
shaking his head.
but we told her he would verify that.
Verified.
It's verified. Okay, good.
So I think when last we were gathered, you brought a proposal to us and we thank you for that. And also appreciated all the sort of different ways of thinking about how the numbers come together in the ramp to 955. And certainly we'll have lots more time to have all those conversations in 955 too. And we step back, we put all the numbers apart, we put them all back together, thought things through, heard from a lot of folks about how quickly school districts can adjust or not adjust, and still meeting the needs of our kids.
Yes.
And so the proposal we're bringing back to you, in a lot of ways mirrors the proposal we brought on Friday. However, that, the grant that we had added that would have cost the education fund additional money, we removed.
Okay.
In the interests of making sure that we are not increasing ed fund expenses at a time that we are looking to stabilize them. And so that original proposal really created a smooth ramp to the foundation formula amount, and did that in a way that if the foundation formula does not pass, that excess spending threshold that matches the foundation formula amount will stay in law for until the legislature does something. And so that's where we are. The school construction, the only exemption or exception to the excess spending in the language that we gave you is school construction that was debt that was approved by voters before whatever that date is that we changed 6 months that I don't have right in front of me. I'm sorry.
That's
And so that's where we are. School construction is an incredibly important issue for school transformation and for our whole system. 955, as you all know, and you spent more time on it recently than we did, is doing great big stuff in 955. And I would love, we're going to need to do work on that in 955. And so I'm hopeful that we can make sure that the school construction language in 955 really addresses what happens for school construction between sort of the date that's in the Guild Bill and 2030, in case districts do need to do school construction in order to consolidate, that we would address that there where there's a whole body of policy around what approvals look like and all of that stuff. So that's where we are.
Sorry. Back to where we start at the 116 and ramp down. Is that at 1% a year?
Yep, it is. It's the equivalent of that. It is the equivalent of 116.7, and then it ramps down to 115.5, and then down to 114.2. But because it's framed in the context of the foundation formula, it's actually looks like lower percentages because it's a percentage of the foundation formula, but that's the equivalent in current law. So to summarize, we are offering the details that we shared on Friday, removing that grant. Yeah.
Okay.
And we have that drawn up by John, who can take it through.
I guess that's the question that's come up is extended that date on something. It's a cold just. There are other schools that are looking at or have voted actually I think this past year some construction health and safety issues. Why are we counting some schools bondable costs and not others?
So my understanding, when we passed, when we reinstated the excess spending threshold
Yeah.
to 3, whatever that was.
Yeah.
We were really purposely bringing along any debt that had been incurred up until that point, and Colchester wound up in this weird loophole of dates. And so like Colchester is within the original intent
Yes,
of that moment.
Yeah.
And any bond air construction after that, we think is really important to solve in the context of 955 and overall education transformation.
But they're going to be charged with it this year, which is put in some schools.
And so I'm hoping we can fix that in 955
Okay,
when we work on that.
all right.
But I agree with you for bonds that have not been put before the voters.
Yeah.
For me, it's the common limbo in between to today and since July of 25 or whatever we're moving to. Those are bonds that have passed. And we're familiar with them. I think there's 10 or 11. And now I don't think that they're butting up against the excess spending threshold this year, but as this ratchets down, I do expect a year out or 2 years out, it to do so. And I feel like good for the goose, good for the gander argument comes to mind that if we excluded these bond votes that happened prior to that date, it seems rational to me as we look years out, the DST going down, they too should be sort of held harmless or then treated the same fairly. And so one notion I was going to put on the table, maybe you're right that this could just be best resolved in 955, but we could also, knowing that the DST is likely to ramp down a year out, we just have these exempted, not this fiscal year 27, but fiscal year 28, or fiscal year, sorry, yeah, for the year out after that. So it doesn't affect this year's budgeting or funding amounts or EST levels. We just have those bonds exempted 1 year from now.
Bonds voted or incurred as of what date?
I would go with July 1st of this year, just to be fair, but that's just a notion to put up again.
A very interesting idea, and makes a lot of sense. My concern about that, and I'm not, is that if we keep on sort of pushing that date out, are we signaling that we will continue to push that date out? And does all of the restrictions that we're putting in 955 going to be sticky? Or does 955 exactly match the dates? And then there's sort of everyone knows what zone they're in? Maybe so.
Senator Beck did raise on this topic some time ago. I think John Gray mentioned it, that I don't know those specifics, but there used to be in the 955 discussion, some context of the AOE having some consideration of considering those bondings as to whether or not they should be treated in the EST or not. So that's something that, again, could come in H.955. For me, it's just a matter of fairness for the districts that have already voted these budgets before this transformation comes in.
If we say 955, you mean in this year, this 955.
Yeah.
Comprehensive income,
Yes.
where we're gonna need to do some work on school construction language.
With those
None of
bonds.
us are on the
Well, I'm happy to carry all of our concerns on there. Yes,
trust you to do that.
thank you. Am I sensing that we have an agreement? Or am I jumping the gun?
Let me.
Okay.
talk to
Okay, great.
Get that.
Okay, thank you.
I have a health.
What?
Get off for
Okay,
to send something important.
I have absolutely no idea.
We're gonna take more to happen and all of that,
Okay.
we're not important. So,
Okay,
Tom,
okay, thank you.
I'll let you know.
Okay, John has stuff drafted, so just let us know. We are on the floor now and we can, it's easy for us to hop off the floor and even, so just
Okay.
send a text